Some big reports this morning. So one of them is that Steven Gerrard is considering an offer to become a coach at Saudi club Al Ettifaq. And Jose Mourinho
well said, by
is
the way.
reportedly
Congratulations.
That was good.
That could have been touch and go.
Wow. Jose Mourinho is set for talks to manage Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal. So, with two of the, well, I suppose one of them legend of football and making his way in management, the other one a complete legend in management. What does this mean for the Saudi Arabian League? Can you see it becoming, I mean, when Ronaldo went last year, or just after the World Cup, whenever it was, he said it was becoming one of the biggest in the world. In 5 years' time, he reckoned it might hit that sort of level. Do you believe that?
Well, the money they're going to throw in,
that's the thing.
You know, you're going to get some big players going. Maybe players at the end of their
That's what I thought.
Careers.
Who was it from Chelsea? Went to China halfway through his career.
Yes,
about
midfielder,
25.
Brazilian.
Yes, it. So
Oscar.
Yes.
Oscar.
Well done.
That was a surprise for me because that sort of level, 25 years old, when you've got everything in front of you, why are you going? You're purely going for the money.
Correct.
I don't mind players going at 32, 33 when they know they're coming to the end.
I'm with you.
It's like that live tour. You know, some of the players there, Mickelson, and they'll sort of go for the money. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm surprised with Steven Gerrard a little bit, if I'm being honest.
So am I.
Jose Mourinho, he's been and done everything as a manager. You know, he's won all the best competitions in the world. I can see that for a year or two. But Steven Gerrard, I think he's got too much to offer over here still.
Well, it's a funny one, that, Ray, right? Because maybe people out there accusing me of contradicting myself here, because I said I'd quite like to see Steven Gerrard go abroad. But by abroad, I didn't mean Saudi Arabia. Right, let's clarify that. I meant somewhere if he could get a job in, I don't know, Spain or France or somewhere like that.
You want him to stay in Europe?
Yes, right. Exactly.
Because you think Saudi Arabia is too far away?
Not so much too far away. I just
the league.
The league.
You know.
The league doesn't excite me. I've got to be honest with you. I don't know about yourself, would you? I genuinely haven't watched. I've watched a few of Ronaldo's goals.
Yeah.
Over by, but that doesn't excite me.
You won't tune in, would you? Really?
No, and I'm a man that loves his football, same as you guys.
And also, what sort of level is it? So my concern for him would be how much would he learn if he went over there, in comparison to what you're saying, somewhere in Europe or something like that. But who knows? Let's find out a little bit more about the level and whether or not it could be a good move, because joining us now for more on these two stories, CBS reporter Ben Jacobs is on the line. Hello, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. How are you, mate?
How you doing, Ben?
Good morning.
Hello. Tell us a little bit about this. Are these rumours and links, how true are they? Could you see Gerrard and Mourinho moving over there?
Well, I think Steven Gerrard is considering the Al Ettifaq offer really seriously, whereas Jose Mourinho is less likely to Al Hilal. But Al Hilal are one of the big clubs in Saudi Arabia, whereas Gerrard would be going to mid-table mediocrity, and it'd be very difficult for him to do anything when you consider that there's some big clubs in Riyadh and Jeddah in Saudi Arabia with huge fan bases, and they're the ones that are getting all of the money and the star names. So it'd be near impossible for Steven Gerrard to do anything dramatic in Saudi Arabia. But the logic of approaching him is not about his managerial pedigree. It's simply trying to get a star name. And the star names don't have to be players heading towards the end of their careers. They can be legends of the game. And if they come over there as managers or coaches, it has huge benefit to the Saudi Arabian League. And we saw this, by the way, in the UAE as well with Maradona when he had a brief spell at Al Wasl. And even though it didn't work out on the field, off the field, that was a huge signing in that part of the world. And this is the overarching strategy. It's not about one club. All of these names are small and star pieces within a bigger jigsaw. With Jose Mourinho, though, after the end of the season, the Roma fans were signalling to him and asking him whether he'd stay, and he was pointing downwards to the dugout. And we know that with Jose Mourinho, there's a lot of games, there's a lot of signs that might be smoke screens, but the feeling is that Jose Mourinho won't go to Saudi Arabia, whereas with Steven Gerrard, it's very much one to watch.
Ben, it looks like, there's certainly, we're under no illusion the financial benefits that players and indeed managers will get for going over there. But is their plan of attack really, is their end game, for example, the 2030 World Cup?
The end game is the World Cup. The end game, if we're putting proper scrutiny on it, is an element of sports washing. And there's also a vision, which is the slightly softer way, I suppose, of delving into sports washing. And that is about bringing top sport to Saudi Arabia. It's about creating jobs in Saudi Arabia. And it's about not being as reliant on the oil and gas industry. So there's lots of different aspects to this. But on the sporting side, they want to strengthen the league. So there are some comparisons with what happened in China. The difference, I suppose, is that in China, a lot of money was spent, but there wasn't an overarching plan. There was too much politics. And on top of that, after it started, the big money stopped and there was a pivot back towards homegrown talent. Whereas in Saudi Arabia, the feeling is these star names are going to help Saudi talent as they look to improve. And Saudi Arabia were very strong at the last World Cup. Let's not forget they beat the world champions Argentina. So there's all kinds of things at play here. But obviously, it sounds wonderful. It sounds rich. The facilities are amazing, but the reality might be very different because FIFA have been embroiled in all kinds of disputes with Saudi Arabia and the Players Union, FIFPro, about paying wages. Lots of foreign players have gone over there and found that it's not what it seems. So we have to look at the past, which isn't great for Saudi Arabia in football and infrastructure in standard. And we have to look at the strategy and the future of what they're trying to do, which on paper at least looks quite exciting.
I want to ask you about a bit of golf as well. So defending US Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick has basically been having his say on the PGA and on the LIV Tour as well, and saying that he finds it quite confusing. He was asked why, and this was his response.
Well, I think that I just don't know what's going on. I think that's, I don't think anyone knows what's going on. Are we signing with the PIF? Are we not signing with the PIF? I've no idea. So even though I guess it is confusing, it's pretty clear that nobody knows what's going on apart from about 4 people in the world. So
there we go. So this announcement obviously came out of nowhere, quite clear from Matt and other players as well, that there is just no strategy at the moment. Things like this can have a way of becoming a bit of an embarrassment, Ben, and that is not what they want to happen. They need to get hold of this and get some clarity. Do you have any clarity for us?
It was a shock merger, wasn't it? And we can refer to it as a commercial merger. So what's not going to happen is one tour, at least not at this point. The feeling is that LIV Golf will continue and is a different format, and the PGA and European Tour will maintain their position, which will still be 4 rounds of golf and will not quite be as novel or as innovative. But eventually we have to wait and see, because once you have a commercial merger and once you have the same people ultimately funding it, then the worry for some players is that LIV Golf and what it stands for will become the primary motivator, because if that's the thing that's drawing numbers, if that's the thing that ultimately is the bulk of the money behind all of this, then golf can change fundamentally, and the players simply feel that they haven't been consulted. And I think that that is the big issue with Fitzpatrick. I think the other thing about certain players, and Fitzpatrick referenced this as well, is he going to be compensated? Because a number of players turned down the money of LIV Golf and stayed loyal to the PGA Tour, and a year on are wondering why they were not able to take that money. So for a lot of players, this isn't about staying loyal to the PGA Tour or the format of golf, which is more traditional on the PGA Tour. It's also clarity as to where's the money coming from? What are they going to get paid? What's the long-term plan for golf? Is this only a commercial merger? And at the moment, there's more questions than answers, unfortunately. So it's good in some senses that there's no longer this rift, which has sort of divided golf for the best part of a year and a half. But the bad news is that we still don't really know in practice, in terms of the game itself, rather than the politics and the money, what direction golf is heading in.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.